Good evening. We are live. Welcome back all to DAS TV. Chuffed this evening to be featuring alongside me is George Septon, the voice of Anfield. A lot of people, I'm sure, George, will know you by now. You've already been on a stream, which was a pleasure to get you on the last time, and it went really well. For anyone that didn't watch it, look back on it. It's in the it'd be in the subscription on my channels. It went really well. George explained some of the story, and it was more than brief, wasn't it, George? It was a bit of an insight into your story and your 50 years coming up. And George just reminded me off air there that the 50th anniversary is obviously on the 14th of August, and we play away to Norwich, and he's a family gathering that night. So thankfully, you don't have to be at that, and you can get to the family gathering, George, because it's an away game.
I'll be glad to get through all that. It's what they call a logistical nightmare, getting everybody together, and oh dear.
Yeah,
no, all of my blood pressure's up, I tell you.
Yeah, and look, COVID hasn't been great to any of us, so it's great that you get to have that. You get that family gathering, and hopefully it all goes well, George. It's all well, ends well, with that coming up. So I suppose it's been a bit of a strange pre-season so far, George, but what do you make of the pre-season so far, and who's impressed you in this pre-season? Because as a Liverpool fan, I never intend to read too much into pre-season. It's there's a lot of squad players, a lot of youth players, a lot of players that will be out on loan next season or will be sold. We know there's a big onus at the moment on Liverpool having to sell players and get a few out the door. So, well, what do you make of the pre-season so far from what you've seen?
I've watched as much as I could on LFC TV and whatever, and there's one or two things. Well, first of all, Harvey Elliott, he's unrecognisable from the kid we sent down to Blackburn. He's really impressed me.
He's just turned 18 as well. Like as you said, Blackburn, I think he made 41 appearances last season on loan. Scored a couple of goals, 11 assists. Was unbelievable there, wasn't he?
I was always impressed with him. Even when he first came, 16? And he looked like he was ready for it. He was really up for everything and got stuck in. But now he's got rid of the silly haircut, and I think he's muscled up a bit. But I'll be thinking we'd see a lot of him this year. Haven't seen much of Konate. Well, I watched the games, but he's just been doing his job basically. He hasn't sort of stood out, but I wouldn't expect him to. I'm reading today that the people who've been on international duty, Jurgen's saying they won't be fully fit for the start of the new season. That upsets me, that. Because what we want to do this year is what we did 2 seasons ago. From the word go, just get stuck in, take no prisoners. But it's not going to happen. But last season was a complete write-off from the time that Virgil got injured, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've seen people moaning online the last couple of weeks about Jurgen not buying people. Well, he's got Konate, who's a big strappy lad who's going to do well alongside Virgil. I'm sure he is. Trent back to form. Andy Robinson's back from his adventures with Scotland. So we've got a rock solid back there. I do hope that Nat Phillips is still part of the squad, but obviously we've got Gomez and Matip. So it's going to be a juggling act, keeping everybody happy.
And young Reece Williams as well, who was impressive at the end of last season. Despite that, he's still around as well.
That's right. So it's well, I mean, that's what he's getting paid X million a year for, isn't it? To make decisions. Yeah. I couldn't do his job for a clock, but that's what he's there for. We'll see. It's all the omens are there. The first match of the season we won the league was against Norwich, wasn't it? Yeah. And we gave him a good hiding, and they basically never looked back. But we just need a few months of luck. We had all the bad luck in the world last year. All the injuries were just incredible, absolutely incredible. Obviously, you got COVID in the background, and I've said to a lot of people that Liverpool suffered more than any other club from being behind closed doors because, our crowd is the 12th man, and we fell from the top of the trees at the bottom of the pile, audience-wise. I mean, some places you go, Arsenal and the Etihad, they're like flaming cathedrals half the time, and so they didn't suffer from missing the crowd as much as we did.
Yeah, I agree with that, George. Yeah, like if the Anfield factor, the 12 man just said, it's no coincidence that Liverpool went through that 6-game Anfield. We're losing 6 Premier League games, something the club has never done in the history. Hadn't scored a goal and lost all 6, and it was without fans. So it's no coincidence. And look, no matter, even if you're not a Liverpool fan, the Anfield factor, that famous Anfield atmosphere and how much it's relied upon. No matter what position Liverpool are in, no matter what quality we have or we don't have, it's always something big. There's a couple of comments there coming in, George, Steve, and Somerville Irish Rugby's won well. Hope you're keeping well, George. I'm sure excited the crowd be back at Anfield after so long. And
yes, I'm excited. It's funny that I've said to a couple of people lately, I might get to Anfield the first home match, and I've kittens. It's so long since I've seen that crowd. And you've got into that, a lot of habits. The whole atmosphere at Anfield all last season was down. It was really depressing in the proper sense of the word. It was horrible, and it's going to take a bit, to work everybody up to scratch. I'm sure it'll take a game or two. I'm hoping against hope that a lot of people will come to these friendlies next weekend, because that might be a good way. We'll have a good crowd in there. I know we will. But there'll be an opportunity for some of the locals who want to take their kids to a game and normally can't get tickets. So absolutely, we should have a good crowd in there. It might get us back in the groove. And if everything goes to plan, we win at Norwich, and then we've got Burnley at home.
Chelsea at home.
And Chelsea at home, yeah. So we've it should be fun.
Be nice to get 9 points, wouldn't it? LFC Red Forever channel there. George, do you think Mane and Firmino will perform better with the crowd of being there?
I don't know. I think they're such professionals. Mane is, both of them last year were a bit up and down, which is unusual for them. But I don't think it was the crowd. I think they've done that in the past. They have bad weeks like everyone. We all do. Sometimes you come home from work on a Friday night and think that was awful. I really have a bad time this week, and I'm sure it's the same for those guys. But I know Mane looks sharp away in Austria.
Yeah, he does.
So we'll see. And again, Bobby Firmino, if he's in the mood, there's nobody better than him. I say we just need to get back into that groove. Footballers are really superstitious people, and if they got an idea in their head that they're having a bad day, it'll make it worse. I know it will. But again, that's Jurgen's job to get them all motivated and moving together.
Absolutely, George. Yeah, it's not an easy job, but I think like last season, regardless of what happened, it was an awful season. It was just a bad season in the Premier League altogether. No fans, people not being able to watch the games together, everybody at home on their own watching it. It wasn't until the end of the season there, that last game or two, where there was a bit more unity, a bit more engagement with people, and people were able to support the beautiful game in the way that we should be able to, in crowds, in gatherings, So hopefully that's great to see that's back. And will you be obviously doing the voice of Anfield for the friendly games, will you, with the 2 games coming up?
I'll be there. It's just there's a dispute going on towards the end of last season, because some bright spark at the club decided that for the last few games we'd play the players' favourite music, so I wasn't picking the music. And that started the Burnley game, the first of the 6 games that we lost at home. Now, I swear it was no coincidence. And towards the end of the 6th game run, people were coming up to me and saying, "You're right. I'm sure you're right." And I said, "I know I'm right. I'm always right, but nobody listens." So I'm just... getting my playlist together for the weekend. And that's my job. Is when we got a full house for the first Premier League game, it's just to get them wound up and get the old place rocking again.
Exactly. Yeah, and you do a great job at that, George. So we've all full faith that you'll get these warm-up games.
Yeah.
Everybody back, get that engagement back at Anfield, and obviously, like the music you're playing that before the team announcement is pivotal to that, isn't it? It gets people ready, gets that humour going. Yeah. So thoughts on the transfer market, George? Obviously, I think it officially started in the middle of June, might have been the 14th of June. And it ends the last day of August, so there's still 4 weeks to go on the transfer market. There hasn't been much activity though from any of the top 6 clubs. Like you look at United brought in 2, but they've been Sancho's taken probably 18 months to 2 years from the sign, and they brought in Varane, who no doubt about it's a good signing. But City, Chelsea, they all haven't done really much, have they? There's links and there's talks, but that's all there is at the moment. I mean, Liverpool, I think. We brought in Konate early in May, and maybe in a way that's a bit of a downfall because that signing seemed so long ago, we forget we've actually brought him in.
Yeah.
The expectations from that get-go, we brought in Konate, someone that's potentially world-class, only 22, really good experience, a fine specimen of a man, that real freak physique, and he's going to slot in brilliant beside Virgil at 22. He's not 23, I don't think, till next year. That's like... we kind of set ourselves up because now that was weeks ago, 2 months ago, nearly 3 months ago that deal was done. We haven't signed anybody, and we're always linked with somebody. I call this silly season because we've been linked with everybody and anybody. For anybody and everybody we've been linked with are also linked with Chelsea, United, City, and none of it has happened. What's your take on that, George?
Well, I think 2 things. I'm sure that the people that are responsible that back at Anfield are working very hard on this on the quiet. Somebody reminded me the other day that when Fabinho turned up, which is 4 years ago now, it just happened, like that, which is the way it used to be. I'm old enough to remember Shankly, and in those days. When he signed Ian St. John, the first time anybody had ever heard of Ian St. John was when he arrived in Liverpool. We knew nobody was taking much notice of Scottish football overall, but he brought in Ron Yates and Ian St. John, and they were fantastic from the word go. But there was no weeks of speculation in the newspapers. Obviously, we didn't have social media then, but he knew exactly what he's doing, and I get the feeling that there's going to be a big signing, towards the end of the transfer window. I wish to get it done early, but obviously the accountants don't want to be paying big wages for somebody who's not actually playing yet, and that's to the detriment of the squad altogether. Because I'm sure Jurgen would like to kick off at Norwich with his entire squad. All the new signings, everybody lined up ready to rumble, and that'll make things a lot easier for him. Somebody just saying that about
NFC Red Forever channel. Yeah, everybody go over and subscribe to him. Same as Jota and Thiago last season, George. And they were, well, I think Thiago was probably more a Simicast than Jota, because Thiago was kind of someone that was speculating a long time. His wages weren't high. He was wanted to leave, wanted a new challenge. Liverpool admirers, and no one else was really going in for him. So I think that rumbled on for a while, but we eventually got that done. That wasn't probably as surprising as Jota and Simicast. They just landed, and next of all, deal was agreed and they signed. Which like I believe, George, since the whole Virgil van Dijk thing back a couple of seasons ago, when someone had leaked to Liverpool in talks, and Liverpool had to pull out a deal and that because they were intervened, just tapping them up, let's say, if you want to say it that way. And then we went in January and got him. I think they play that cards close to their chests now, and the recruitment, like there's so much that goes on in recruitment, so much admin work, so much paperwork, so much, like Jurgen Klopp wants players to come in with that attitude, that discipline. He wants players to come in that basically do as he says and wants, and he doesn't need these players that are going to come in and be a hindrance and are on huge money, and that they're big into social media, let's say. He's a very specific type of player he wants, and you know, a lot of the fans, and it seems to be a lot of the younger generation of fans just feel that we're linked with somebody, why don't we not get it done? And then obviously you have a new thing now of a homegrown thing you have to have, and salary caps will probably come in. And if salary caps were to come in, we would be probably best placed out of all the teams because we do things right. So you can't kind of like praise Liverpool for bringing in these players. Like there's a quote that says Jurgen Klopp doesn't buy superstars, he'd make superstars. So you can't kind of big him up for that and then expect him to go out and sign Haaland and Mbappe and sign these type of players that are ready made and come in and spend loads of money and not think of wages and not think of, well, Van Dijk, Alisson, all these type of players will want then that type of wage and they should demand it, and Trent Alexander-Arnold because we brought in somebody in a mad wage. So you know, you have to be very specific with these, and I do believe we need probably another 2 players, more so in midfield or even someone else up front. Yeah. But look, I'm not panicked by it. I trust fully in Jurgen Klopp, and I think there's a narrative around FSG, whatever we think of them. But look, they're going to trust in Jurgen and give him what he wants. You'd agree with that, I think, would you, George?
Absolutely. We've proved the point the last couple of years. Well, I say last season was just a year out of everybody's life as far as I'm concerned. You can just put it on one side and forget it. But the previous year and the year before that, you won the European Cup. Champions League. Give me age away again. We won the Champions League, and then we had 5 trophies in the cabinet at one stage. You can't do any better. You really can't do any better than that. And if FSG wanted proof that they got the right man, they've got it. And as far as I'm concerned, if Jurgen went and said, I need X, Y, and Z, then they'd get it if they possibly could. By balancing the books. Don't forget that the pandemic has taken money out of everybody's lockers. Doesn't matter who you are, with possible exception of Manchester City. Everybody else has got to live within their means, and if our means are enough to get, I don't know. I'll tell you, I'd love to see Haaland come to Liverpool. If people say, "Oh, he's going to go to City where his dad played," but I've said over and over again, he's Norwegian. Norwegians all love Liverpool. And I'd be very surprised if he didn't end up over here before too long. And if he came to us, I think we'd be practically unbeatable unless we had another Virgil situation. I mean, that was just a complete disaster.
It was, because we didn't get him when we really wanted to get him, but eventually we did. And look, like you're saying there about Haaland, I mean, I think he scores more goals than assists, and he has that real Liverpool, has that big Norwegian connection, big fan base, and there's a hotel near Anfield as well that's run by, I think it's someone Norwegian, and that gets a big Norwegian following. So it's always been the way. It's a good point, George. Talking down to Chelsea, City, not sure whether Liverpool would do it now and that, and maybe in the future, though I wouldn't rule it out. But talking about the pandemic, Liverpool are debt free. They've great facilities. They've built the main stand, the state-of-the-art one built onto it, building on now to the Anfield Road end, an unbelievable new AXA training facility in Kirby. And people don't want to hear this, but that's the truth. And as I said, this club has, like, the revenue we've got in the last couple of years is 550-something million, and we've come out COVID looking really sharp in terms of business end. So the way the owners are running it like a business is really, really successful in terms of finance and for longevity as well,
Yeah, well, obviously, again, looking back to the previous American owners, these guys are from a different planet. FSG know what they're doing. They're so experienced in that side of things, and they realize that they're going to keep their noses out of the football side of things and just do what they can for to accommodate what the Jurgen wants. I think that's happening. You keep hearing all these stupid stories in the paper about Jurgen's not happy. If you see Jurgen, I've never seen anybody happier in my entire life than Jurgen Klopp. And I'm sure he's itching to get back into the Premier League season now and get back where we belong. Somebody just asked the question, do you think we were challenging for the league this year? Too right, we will be challenging for the league this year. When we were the champions when this all went wrong. So there's no reason with a bit of luck, just a little bit of luck, why we can't get back to the top. And again, you read all these stories in the papers. I mean, you read about Jordan Henderson arguing about his new contract. I can't believe that Jordan would want to go anywhere else but Liverpool FC. When he came, I must admit, I was just a bit dubious because he was a bit too defensively minded for my liking. A lot of people said the same thing. But over the time, and you look at him now, the way he captains the team, the way he drives the team, it's fantastic. And I can't believe that he wanted to quit all that. I really can't. Genie's gone. There's a couple of options for replacing. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is another one who was missing most of last year. And he's absolutely great. When he was injured, he was getting to the top of everybody's favourite player list because the way he put himself about, and he's going to be a real asset this season. And if we're going to be fighting on 2 or 3 fronts this year, so we need everybody we can get hold of, and I'm sure by now after the preseason, Jurgen knows which of the youngsters he wants to move up to train at the training ground in Kirby, and who's going to go out on loan. And there must be 1 or 2 he's thinking, you're not going to make it here, son. You're better off somewhere else. But I could bet the house that he knows exactly where he's up to right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, George. And you look at, I talked about Jordan Henderson, that narrative, that story, if you read between the lines, it was just said that he hasn't extended his deal, basically. He's 2 years left, so he's 31 now. So, I mean, he's going to be 33. He might not get another contract, but I still think Jordan's there for 2 years, or he might. But, I mean, Jordan has had his fair share of injuries, like a lot of the Liverpool players. And I believe that if the likes of Naby Keita, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain can be more available, can be more consistent in terms of being available the upcoming season and avoid as many injuries as they have, that they're going to be like new signings. Because we already heard about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain being that false 9. He's very dynamic, very creative, loves to come on and just go at players and goes for goal, which I love about him. Naby Keita has looked really good, and we know Naby Keita, how well he was, that player he was at Leipzig, and we've seen a lot of them at Liverpool. But the thing is it's just injuries, George, isn't it? It's like Joe Matip, Gomez has had injuries, Fabinho, Henderson, so many of them had their fair share of injuries. But I really do believe that a lot of those lads that have had injuries will have more availability this season, because we surely can't get an injury crisis like we did anywhere near the last season. And as long as they're available, as long as they're available, we will compete. There's no doubt about it. You look at midfield, we've Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, we've Jones, we've Harvey Elliott, we've Milner, Shaqiri, he still hasn't gone yet. And I believe if Shaqiri goes with Gini Wijnaldum gone, there's room then to bring in another midfielder, and I think that will happen. There was a comment up a while ago there from, I think, the LFC, Red Forever LFC, Daz and George, what positions do we need to strengthen? Well, my answer to that would be, I think, another midfielder and someone else up front, but I think more so midfield, because that's where we get injuries. That's right in the heart and soul of the team, and you can never have enough quality midfielders, but I think Elliott and Jones are one to watch. I think they play more football than they did last season.
Yeah.
And look, let's just wait and see. I mean, Jones is still young. Elliott is so young as well. As I said, only 18, has had a fine season in the Championship experience, 41 appearances, 8 goals, 11 assists, done really well there. It's going to be different at Liverpool. It's going to be tougher, but he loves the club and he'll really want to succeed. And at 18, I think this is a great chance for him to do it. But where do you think we need to strengthen in, George? What positions?
Well, I agree with everything you said. I mean, we've, across the back, we've got, take your pick. Obviously, I think Virgil's irreplaceable, but we've got if anything else happens to him, we've got Matip, we've got Gomez there. You look at Andy Robertson on the left. Shimmick has been playing really well pre-season, and he'd be quite
Very
happy
good.
if he was at left back. You wouldn't be thinking it's a weak link.
Yeah.
On the other side, you've got Trent was back on form, is back on form, and Joe Gomez can play right back if needs be. We've got strength in the place.
We could play Milner as well at right full back. I know we've young Nico Williams there, but he's probably a weak link there for us, isn't he? Still that bit inexperienced, young.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure whether he's.
No, I'm not entirely sure, but again, he's learning. And you look at Nat Phillips when he came in the side last year. You're thinking, oh my word, he'd been playing at Kidderminster, and then all of a sudden he's into the Premier League and the Champions League, and you're thinking, oh my word, he's going to be trundled over. He wasn't. He stood up, and he did his part. He was a full member of that squad by the time we got to the end of the season.
Yeah, particularly those last 5 games as well. Him and Nat Phillips were so composed and so compact there at the back, and a big success as to us getting third place and obviously sewing up Champions League next season. That'll be a question there for you, George, from LFC Ref Forever. Thanks, lads, for leaving in the comments as well. Keep them going. Gents, is Rush type of striker a thing of the past for Liverpool? So obviously Ian Rush, great striker in his day, goal machine. Yeah. Is that a thing of the past?
Yeah, yes. There's nobody like Rush. It hasn't been ever since. Our Robbie Fowler come to that. They're just natural goal scorers, but that's why I like Haaland, because I can see shades of Ian Rush in him. He just basically, his brains are in his boots, and he knows where the goal is and takes no prisoners. He's a great bloke to have up front, and because more than once over the last 3 or 4 years, I've said to people at during a game at Anfield, we'd be 1-0 up, 2-0 up, and I'd say if we take our chances, we'd be out of sight by now. There's so many matches you look back, they could have been 4, 5, 6-0s, and they weren't. And it's the thing about being a Liverpool fan. You get to the last 15 minutes, and your nerves are shattered because you're 1-0 up against a team you should have, rolled over an hour ago, and they've still got chances. It'd be nice to see the back end of that. And again, we need a natural born goal scorer like Rush. I think he's only a thing overpassed at the moment because we haven't found anybody else like him. But it must be somebody out there. And again, I'd like to see just 1 or 2 more locals come through. Incident, I know a couple of years ago, I was up at the academy watching a youth local schools match, and there was a lad playing called Jacob Fowler. And then I realised he's Robbie's lad, and I said to him, print some pictures off and get him to sign them, because he's going to be famous one day, just like his old dad. And there must be more people like him coming through the ranks.
Yeah, and that's something. Look, we obviously wouldn't know a lot of, because we only see like the youth academy to a certain extent under 18s.
Yeah.
I know, speaking of Ian Rush, he's a nephew, hasn't he? Owen Beck, who got that goal. Well, the assist for the own goal against Mainz, he seems to be doing really well. There's high hopes for him, and he's got his contract there at the club. So wish him the best of luck. But he's not a striker. He's nothing.
No. And again, it'd be nice to have somebody like Harvey Elliott, who had the attitude that he was so desperate to play for Liverpool. There's a genuine Liverpool fan as a kid, and it must be amazing to actually get on the pitch in a red shirt and play for the Reds. If you've been supporting them all of your life, it's got to give you an edge over a lot of people.
Yeah, and look, we're talking about all these midfielders, but I believe in possibly 2-3 seasons' time, Harvey Elliott will be then, 20, 21. We could be talking about the next superstar, the next superstar we know he's English lad, so he eventually will get his call up to the England national team. But for us, we're not too bothered about that. And a lot of Liverpool fans never really have been so much about international football. It's all about what they do at the club, and I think that's a fair argument, and it's the right way to be. But I mean, Harvey at 18, if he gets his chance this season, he takes it. I know there's still a little bit of uncertainty because he's a young lad, and when the going gets tough, experience and stuff like that comes in. But he could be one that we could be. He could just evolve now. He could be. And Jurgen Klopp has a knack for getting these type of players to work and to just make them evolve. He's done it so much. There's a lad I like, Vlahovic. I don't know whether you know him, or Fiorentina. He's a 21-year-old striker. He's third up in Serie A in Italy. Serbian, looks really, really good. He'd be great backup for us up at the top end of the pitch. There was obviously talk of Gerard Bowen off West Ham. You would have heard of George. He's someone that can play alongside the front three, and he's had a good season at West Ham. Really needs his chance, I think, at one of the top six. He'd be a great option, I think. A couple of them, a couple of these.
A lot of guys like that. I remember when Ian Rush came to Liverpool from Chester. And in those days, the reserves played at Anfield every week. And we paid so much money. I think it was a record for a teenager when he came. And I was watching him and I was thinking, he's good, but he's not, superstar. And then as soon as he got in the team and he got the service, he raised his game. He was fitted in right away, and he was banging goals in for fun right from then through the rest of his career. And
like a glove.
But that's that was Bob Paisley's talent for spotting kids like that. And in those days they had Tom Saunders looking at these lads and had scouts everywhere. Nowadays it's all done a bit more of out in the open on social media and through agents. Agents are the ones who do all the dirty work now. But as I say, I'd love to see some of these lads get in amongst the big boys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good point, because since Jurgen Klopp has come in, he's there now. I think this will be going on this October, 6th year there. Yeah. And he's recruited spot on. When you look at Gini Wijnaldum come in, was nothing like the player he is now. Andy Robertson, Salah, was a reject. Didn't get a chance in the Premier League, was told 35 million is way over the odds. And I talked to a couple of people just before he signed, and that's where I was hearing back, that's mad money. Why are we bringing him in? Didn't work out with Chelsea. He's doing it in Serie A. He scored 40-something goals for a season. Mane, even him, there was a bit of, he's all right doing it at Southampton. And you look at how much these players have evolved, even how much Henderson has under Jurgen Klopp. It's fascinating really how well he does this sort of stuff. And every summer and every transfer market, you still have the same argument from a lot of the fan base that we need to sign someone, we need someone ready-made, we need to splash the cash, and we're not doing it. But it's not like playing Pro Evolution or FIFA. This is reality, and there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to sign a player. And to be a Liverpool player now and to fit the system and to fit Jurgen Klopp's philosophy, you have to have a certain attribute, and you have to have that attitude.
It's the attitude, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Bob Paisley used to say that he could tell when somebody came to Liverpool for a trial. He said by the time he hung his coat up on a hook, he'd know they were, they were the business.
Heard that.
Yeah,
I remember watching something about that. Yeah, that was true, wasn't it?
We call it body language now. I hadn't heard that phrase then. But Bob and his crew, I mean, he had a whole, the whole original boot room around him. Roy Evans, Ruben Bennett, Tom Saunders in particular. And, he trusted them faithfully, and they never, ever let him down. If Tom Saunders went to Bob, said, I'd seen this kid, he's great, Bob would probably go and watch him quietly. He'd sit in the back of the stand with his, his flat hat down over his eyes, but he'd more, 9 times out of 10, he'd be spot on right.
Yeah, and it's like the recruitment now at Liverpool. Like, as I said, we praised him so much for bringing in these players, like not buying superstars, but making these players superstars, bringing them in on a very good business deal, a moneyball type of thing. It's called now the American way. And Liverpool have this act of bring them in young, get them for cheap when they're older, and we've got the best out of them, then sell them on. That's where we make the profit. And I know fans don't want to hear that, but at the end of the day, George, and you know as much as now, you being in the game a long time and knowing it inside out, that's it's a business now. Football is a business. It's a franchise. It's a big sport, and we have to look at that side of things as well as the others. We can't just ignore that and expect this is what you do, this is who you bring in, but not worry about 3 or 4 years down the line. And then when financial problems come, then we're all going back to giving out, why did we do this? Why did we do that? Should we only won one league? And, you know, it wasn't worth doing. So, like, the way Liverpool are doing it, and if a salary cap, which I think will be implemented sooner rather than later, we're going to be one of the best clubs for it, because you look at any of the top clubs and their salary cap is spot on, and we're really good at that. And that's something you have to be careful about, and that's something that Liverpool are by the book with, you know, and you have to applaud them for that sort of business. It's really great business. It's true business.
Absolutely. And these guys, you know, running our club at the moment, they are businessmen and have got, you know, track records going back a long time before they came to Liverpool. I mean, even you know, I have something to shouting match with something a year or two ago. They were calling John Henry's wife a gold digger. I said, no, just do a bit of reading. She was the businesswoman of the year in Boston for a couple of years. You know, she's not soft. She doesn't need money off anybody. And you know, that's the owner's wife. Never mind the owner. You know, the chairman. You know, going back years, he was a big name TV producer. You know, before he got sucked into baseball and all the rest of it, and now obviously he's running our place. These guys know what they're doing. That's all you need to know, and it's a great situation to be in, because Jurgen and his crew can concentrate on the football, you know, safe in the knowledge that somewhere down there somebody else is taking care of business. You know, they don't have to worry about that. They can get on with what they got to do.
Well, you look at the 10 years there, George. We won our first ever World Club Cup, the first elusive Premier League title. We added the 6th European Cup. You know, we competed in finals, Champions League, Europa League Cup finals in that time. We brought in Jurgen Klopp. We saw big name players. At one stage, we were the selling club. But since Jurgen Klopp has come in, every season, apart from Coutinho, we've kept all our best players, something that when I grew up watching Liverpool, we never seemed to do consistently enough. And now we're at a stage where we don't need to rebuild. We just need to add on to the squad. Because you look at Liverpool, 14 or 15 unbelievable players in that team that will do a shift. Sometimes then you look at the other players and there's not much like for like. They lack a bit of quality. But apart from City, everyone else is the same, you know what I mean? And that's where I'd like to see Liverpool just have that bit more. But then, like people say, you need to go out and sign a Chiesa, an unbelievable Italian lad. But after winning the Euros, he's not going to come to Liverpool and be on the bench or not be guaranteed a certain spot and come to the hardest league. Like, you have to remember, George, the Premier League compared to Serie A, there's a bigger thing there, you know what I mean? The Premier League is much more competitive. So you have to admire what Jurgen Klopp is doing and what the owners are doing. Now, look, I was as critical as any of them, probably when it came to the January transfer window, and I went looking for a defender and we left it very late. But then there was talk that we actually wanted Konate, but he couldn't move in January, so that's why we got him early in this window, which is probably true. So you can let them off with that. But then the Super League, but they weren't the only ones involved in the Super League. There was another 5 clubs as well. And look, I mean, I know a lot of people growing up now and they don't support clubs in the way they used to. A lot of kids, they support players, you have TikTok, you have social media. So obviously this whole Super League, there was a reason, there was a method behind the madness, let's say. But look, none of us would have liked it. It took away the traditions and all that. But the traditions are taken away a long time ago. And anyway,
absolutely.
Good comment in there, Archie Doolan. All right, lads, great chat. Cheers. Big up to Archie. What's your thoughts on Renato Sanchez?
I was watching, I think I watched every game in the Euros this summer, and I was really, really impressed. I'm just worried because he's been in the Premier League, hasn't he, with Swansea? Yeah. And he was an absolute disaster, and he came as a superstar and just didn't cut it with Swansea. And he's gone out again. Well, I'd like to think that somebody like him would be ideal cannon fodder for Jurgen to get stuck into. he's certainly got the skill and talent and whatever. But again, there's something in his psychological makeup that didn't do it last time. But again, you'd trust Jurgen to have a go, wouldn't you? If he fancies coming back to the Premier League.
He's only 23. He's very explosive. Done really well at the Euros. He's only to win the league as well with Lille in France.
Yeah.
So he's had a good season at 23. I mean, we've seen Salah go to the Premier League before, not work out. Comes to Liverpool, it does. So I think if Jurgen Klopp brings him in, he has to have something about him. And I think if we got him, I'd have no doubt about it. He'd evolve and be a future, not just
absolutely
brilliant player, but world class, unbelievable. Because he could have easily 7 or 8 quality seasons out at the very highest level. Renato Sanchez at only 23. So yeah, it's a good shout, Archie. I've seen a couple of people talking about Renato Sanchez. Been a lot of players we've been linked to it. Saul Niguez is another one, that Spanish lad at Atletico Madrid. He's only 26, hardly ever injured, unbelievable player. Might be an issue with his wages, though. He's on high wages, that's the only thing. But again, there's talk of us getting him, United getting him. He wants to move. Barcelona were in. But what do you think of that one? Do you think that could happen, George?
It's possible. I mean, as you say, wages are going to be an issue before too long. But I think after last year, everybody apart from us is going to be in the same boat. They're going to be trying to cut corners and unload people off their wage bill. But I remember it was Dirk Kuyt used to have a saying, didn't he? He said, Premier League wages are obscene, and he was getting a 6-figure salary every week, but he was doing stuff with it. And he said there's a lot of them said there's so much you need to live on, and there's so much you need to live, to live in the lap of luxury for the rest of your life. But if you're getting any more than that, it's completely completely wasted. Let's do something with it. Let's say if you can. I'm sure I'd be happy on 100 grand a week, and if somebody was paying me 250 grand, I wouldn't be any happier. I couldn't buy. You've already got the best cars and whatever. Sadio Mane is the same, isn't he? He had the stories walking around with a mobile with a crack screen and driving an old car, and spent the close season building hospitals back home.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You want more of them.
Yeah, and look, it's unbelievable, and that's the type of players that Jurgen wants. That he has that close affiliation with, that always have that hunger and that aggression. Because sometimes when players make it, they forget where they come from. They don't have that hunger, aggression. They've made it. They know no matter where they go, they sit on the bench, they make money. And the Euros, we see in some games that unity and that togetherness and that never give up and that attitude and discipline outweigh the quality of it. You look to Switzerland and France, 9 minutes to go on it. France are 3-1 up, one of the favourites to win it, and Switzerland not only come back to 3-3 but win the shootout. They had that nervous steel. So to be honest with you, George, my whole motto was I've gotten a bit older than life, even though I'm still young. It's changed where I'm not so sure whether I just want quality. I want probably a bit more of the attitude side of things and that never give up and that desire than I want quality, because quality is one thing, but if you don't have the rest, you don't really succeed there, George. It's not consistently.
Absolutely. You need, it's another old Shankly saying, players would run through a brick wall for him. And he had a team full of them. And if anybody wasn't like that, they'd just be showing the door.
Yeah, and that's you have to be ruthless, you do.
If you went on Twitter now and tried to find some lads who'd kill to play for Liverpool, there'd be thousands of them, millions of them. You want, out of those millions, there must be a few with the talent, the skill to do it. They're the guys you need. That's why John Aldridge is one of my favourite players. His attitude was fantastic. When he heard Liverpool were looking interested in him, he just went charging up the motorway and said, "Where do I sign?" There was no negotiation, no nothing, no agents involved. He just wanted to play for Liverpool, and by God, you could tell when he got out on that pitch, he was hard as nails, and he'd run through a brick wall for the red shirt.
Yeah, he was one of our own here back in Dublin, although, and he's been still at, well, not obviously in the last 2 years of the COVID, but he's been at a lot of events. I've had the pleasure to meet him. So great, yeah. And like that attitude, that desire, having that discipline and focus is to me what it's all about, you know. What's the thoughts, so George, on the new season ahead? Are you confident? And obviously, we're probably a little bit apprehensive or a bit nervous, a bit excited because especially after last season.
Yeah. Well, last season, the save was just crazy. But this season, at the moment, I'm, what's the phrase, cautiously optimistic. I really love to win this league again. And I think that's probably our best chance. If, we need to get the team settled, the squad settled, and get stuck in. And if it does fall into place early on, it'd be fantastic. We'd be so good to, as you say, get to the end of the first 3 games with 9 points. We'd be doing really well, because I really, really fancy Chelsea to do better in the league this year. And there they are. They won the Champions League. That's gone very quiet on that front, but Thomas Tuchel knows what he's doing, and he's. And again, he's from the Jurgen Klopp school of managers, isn't he? He is. He's not up to, he hasn't got the personality of Jurgen, but he's certainly got the skill set, the psychology, the attitude, and the technical skills. And he's proved now he knows exactly what he's doing, and they've got some damn good players in that squad. They really have.
Yeah, defensively as well, they're really set up well. They're very composed, compact, and they're going to be hard to beat. That they'll cause teams problems. And it's strange that we're saying that, because I remember at the end of the season, they 2 games left. They were away at Villa, and then they'd City in the Champions League. And there was talk they mightn't even get the top 4. And they were lucky because of Leicester's result to get the top 4. They lost to Villa.
Absolutely.
But they turned up in the final. They deserved to beat Man City. But it could have all. There was even talk then of where's the future for Tuchel if they don't have Champions League football next season and he ends the season without winning the trophy. And that's how quick it changes at Chelsea. There's one thing you're guaranteed when you take the Chelsea job is you're going to be sacked. It's just when, because they've sacked every manager since Ranieri was there in 2004. And that's it's not good, but they're ruthless, they're cutthroat, they spend a lot of money. Players there on huge salary, and the expectations are high, and it will be as long as Abramovich is there. But we've had our great years with them. What do you think of another thing I wanted to ask you, George, of Rafa, who we all respect and love and adore, taking the Everton job? That was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it?
I was surprised, but then I'm very pleased for him. Nobody would be happier than me if Everton finished up second in the league next season and we were first. That's the way it used to be in the days of Howard Kendall and Shanks and Kenny and whatever. There was a great deal of respect. There's the difference between the relationship between Liverpool and Everton and Liverpool and United. Everton are rivals, United are enemies, and this is still Liverpool. And when push comes to shove, Liverpool and Everton would pull together, as proved around the Heysel
and Hillsborough.
The Hillsborough situation. Everybody dropped the rivalry for a while, and just Everton fans did their best to stand behind and support us. And I wish Rafa every good luck going, unless it's the derby match, in which case I won't. But I just hope he does all right. We should be proud of the fact that he's still got a home on Merseyside. He regards this as home. His wife and kids are on the Wirral, and he's poor devil. He was off in China for months on end, and before that he was up in Newcastle, which is even worse. I'll be interested to see what he does. And again, he's got a few decisions to make before the end of the month, and who he's buying, who he's selling, who he can get hold of. And but mind you, having said that, I remember saying when Carlo Ancelotti came to Everton. They'll really do well now. They've got a world-class manager. Well, now they've got another one. They didn't do very well, last season overall, but they look good some of the time.
They surprised me. I'm going to be honest with you in terms of Ancelotti came in a serial winner, but he hadn't managed in the Premier League, and it was a struggle, I think, in the end for Everton. I think the first 4 or 5 games last season, the top of the league, was talk of they should get top 6. No one was naive enough to think they were going to win the league or get top 4. And they end up getting 10th. They had a really disappointing season. They've spent a lot of money on transfers over the years, Everton. I think it's something like, I don't know, it was a 500 million. It's serious money they've spent. And
absolutely,
they're no better, really, when you look at it. And they haven't won it and haven't been at finals, haven't been in Europe and had a good run. So, but look, in terms of Rafa going there, I think it's probably his last big pay, isn't it? He wants to be at home. I can see from a professional point of view why he took it. Look, he obviously his heart still. He's big admiration for Liverpool. He loves the club. He said that. He said, he knows taking the Everton job that it's never going to be the same as what you had at Liverpool. He probably won't get as much love. We've seen already some of the antics going on amongst the fan base at Everton and stuff like that. So he's not getting that welcome, and there's big pressure on him straight from the get-go because he has that identity of being a Premier League manager, a Liverpool legend. There's big pressure on him to deliver. And to be honest with you, I wish him the best of luck, but I'm not too bothered about it because Everton, I know you'd love to see yours win it and then come second, but it's not going to happen where they'd be that far up.
We'll see.
We'll see. He might do well. I mean, they're due at some stage to do well. I mean, all the money they've spent and the managers they had in and they still haven't. Surely that look has to change where they not compete for the league, but they improve and start winning things. But we'll see. But for Everton for too long now, it's been a big failure and letdown for them, hasn't it? And you don't like to see that because they are our rivals. They're our friends as well, though, aren't they? And look, I mean, the two clubs you said through Hillsborough and through a lot of stuff have united and have had just had huge respect. And I've no problems with Everton, as long as City and United are not doing what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've a couple of things coming up, George, don't you? I know off air you said to me the LFC TV 60 Minutes with George Septon. Hasn't been an official on that yet?
Yeah, that's we recorded that a few weeks ago. It's coming out maybe on the 14th of August, which is my 50th anniversary of me starting there, or maybe beforehand. They're trying to squeeze it into the schedules now, but that should be interesting because, I mean, I don't want to give any secrets away, but they planted a couple of surprises on me, put it that way. And I really enjoyed making it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it on LFC TV. And another couple of things. I mean, there's hopefully BBC at Salford Keys are going to do something around the time of my 50th anniversary, and it's all good stuff for plugging the book. The book comes out in North America on the 6th of August and one or two other places. So I'll be interested to see what it sells.
And how are the book sales going at the moment, George? From where?
All right.
I know they've went well here. The sales when I last had you on, we were talking about it, and I know there was limited stock. It was high going out the doors here at Eason's in Dublin, and it's been going well, has it?
It has. I haven't got any sales figures yet. What I have got is what they call the ranking chart at Amazon, and it's been floating along, up near the top end, and it's just starting to fall away again now. But the new season will help. The program on LFC TV will help, and I'll be interested to see where it ends up in the rankings. So everybody seems very pleased with it. The publishers are chuffed. It's selling at the Liverpool store. It do well on one night on Amazon. I actually got it the worldwide top 50, which is crazy. But the feedback I've had has been fantastic. The reviews online and that sort of thing. They've mostly been really good. People seem to enjoy it. And then you get one grouch once in a while who said, "Oh, I didn't like that." And you think, fine, your choice.
If you have nothing good to say, don't say anything, isn't it?
Well, there's always one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, but look, it's great to see the sales are going reasonably well. And I'm sure when the programme comes out on LFC TV, the season starts, it will get better and better. And it's only been released. It's not been out too long. So
No.
It's slowly but surely getting there, which is great to see, George. And everybody remember to go over and to buy the book. It's 50 years of George Septon, his time, his journey at Anfield, and obviously being the voice of Anfield, which is, look, it's a big deal. I've praised you before on this about it. It's phenomenal. And I'm hoping to get to Anfield soon as well. With restrictions now eased a lot and not as many complications to travel to and from the UK. I'm hoping to go over, George, and it'd be great to hear some of your playlist before the game. And,
I hope so.
Yeah, and hopefully we hear your voice for a few Liverpool goals as well, which is going to be more important.
That'll be good too. That would be really good.
Yeah. So you're optimistic about the season coming up, and obviously you're looking forward to it. And for you, be back to work, a full house at Anfield. That'll be good.
I'm looking forward to hearing that atmosphere again. As I say, I might get a shock when I hear it again because it's so long since we've been at a full house, Joe. But there you go.
I think it's been Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, March of 2020. So, a year and a half. It's been a long, long time. And that night, I remember I wasn't at the game, but I remember watching it, and atmosphere was electric. And we were so unlucky that night. It just wasn't to be. But that was the kind of the start of it being bad for us. And then look, last year, I think it was only last week, was the anniversary, the year of us after getting that trophy lift at Anfield. You weren't there that night, were you, George, for that?
I was there.
Were you? Okay, brilliant.
Oh yeah, I didn't miss a single game at all. People kept saying,
"You'd
be glad to get back to Anfield." I said, "I've never been away." I was at Anfield more last year than any other year because we had so many practice matches and dry runs and system tests and all the rest of us for playing behind closed doors. So it was quite hectic, which is why I've enjoyed the few weeks break.
Yeah, and is this something now you're looking to do for the next couple of years, George? Like you've now obviously plans of retired and leaving past.
I'm through the magic barrier now, 50 seasons. So I'm just going to see what happens. Say I could walk out of here now and get run over by a bus. I could go on till I'm 100. Who knows? I might get fed up. I might win the lottery on Friday night and just retire. I'll be watching it on TV in the Bahamas or somewhere. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, that's it. We just don't know what the future has in store. But 50 years is an incredible achievement, George. And George, I hope to have you again on the channel now soon when the season kicks off and we're a bit into it and transfer season is over. That'd be great if we could get you on again. Obviously, see where we're at then, and hopefully it's all gonna be it'd be all well, all's well ends well, because at the moment it's all well.
I hope so.
But look, thanks to everybody that's subscribed to this channel, and obviously the people that flooded in the comments this evening. It's great, and look, people will be back on here watching it over, George. They always don't get the chance to watch the evening when it's on live. But we'll cheers, Archie. Big up to you. Imagine the noise when Virgil van Dijk starts. Yeah, that's going to be something to relish, isn't it?
That is going to be something. I'd be so pleased to see him back.
Yeah, I seen a few videos circulating around a while ago of Virgil van Dijk warming up, and he'll never walk alone for a full attendance as well. And that's something that we haven't seen. We haven't had a full attendance with Never Walk Alone. We haven't had Virgil. So that's a sight now. Hopefully we'll see for the Burnley game at home. The first game of the season might be a bit early for him to be back starting, but I'd imagine he's close enough now to it, isn't he? He's Rolls Royce across. Yeah, but thanks to everybody that's watched. Remember to like, subscribe, and remember everybody to obviously go and, if not order, buy George's book. It's 50 years of Anfield. It's the voice of Anfield. And thanks to you all, and good evening, and we will chat soon, and George will be on again soon.
Cheers.
Cheers, George.